Gout winding up and winding up. It's Lavelle to Bogo. Gout gets through to fourth. It's 1978.
17-year-old Gout Gout was supposed to be the next big thing in sprinting, but his world championship debut just ended with some harsh criticism that's got everyone talking. On Thursday night in Tokyo, the atmosphere at Japan National Stadium was electric as the men's 200-meter semifinals got underway. Light rain was falling, making the track slippery, but that didn't stop the world's fastest men from putting on a show, and right in the middle of it all was Australia's teenage sensation, Gout Gout, carrying the hopes of an entire nation on his young shoulders. The kid had already made history just by being there. At 17 years old, he became the youngest man ever selected for an Australian World Championships team. That's not just impressive, it's unprecedented. But making the team and competing with the big boys are two very different things, as Gout was about to discover. When the gun fired for the second semifinal, Gout found himself in a loaded heat. Brian Level from Jamaica was there, along with Olympic champion Letsila Tebogo from Botswana. These weren't just fast guys. These were the absolute best in the world. Men who had been doing this at the highest level for years. Coming around the bend, Gout was sitting in 7th place. Not exactly where you want to be in a semifinal, but then something beautiful happened. The same finishing speed that first caught the world's attention kicked in. He powered down the home straight, his long strides eating up the track as he moved past runner after runner. When the dust settled, Gout had finished 4th with a time of 20.36 seconds. In any other context, that would be cause for celebration. But in a World Championship semifinal, it meant one thing. He was going home. To make the final, he needed to run 19.97 seconds or faster. His time left him as the 18th fastest overall and 12th among the non-automatic qualifiers. The math was simple and unforgiving. Only 8 men advanced to the final, and Gout wasn't one of them. But here's where things get interesting, and not in a good way for the young Australian. While Gout was dealing with the disappointment of missing the final, the internet was having a field day. An American sprinter posted a TikTok video that cut straight to the bone, saying, "The next Usain Bolt got brutally destroyed at the World Championships." That's the kind of comment that can stick with a young athlete, especially one who's been carrying the weight of those Usain Bolt comparisons for months now. The hype machine had been in overdrive, calling Gout the next great sprinter, the heir to Bolt's throne. But championships have a way of separating reality from hype. The numbers tell the story. Gout's personal best is 20.02 seconds, which he ran earlier this year in the Czech Republic to set a new Australian record. In Tokyo, he was aiming to break that barrier and become the first Australian to legally run under 20 seconds. He'd actually done it before, running 19.84 at the Australian Championships in April, but that time came with illegal wind assistance, so it doesn't count in the record books. Meanwhile, the men who did make the final were operating on a completely different level. Noah Lyles, the defending champion, absolutely scorched the track in the third semifinal. His time of 19.51 seconds wasn't just fast, it was the fastest time run by anyone in the world this year. After crossing the line, Lyles was pumped up and ready to send a message. He told reporters, "I surprised myself. I kind of backed up a little bit as we got to the last 20 meters, but I'm going to put on a whole race in the final. When I got up after the first 50 meters, I thought I heard Jarnell Hughes running along, and I said to myself, 'You ain't catching me.' The message today was that they can't beat me." That's the confidence of a champion, the mindset of someone who's been there and done that. It's also exactly what Gout is up against. Not just fast times, but experienced competitors who know how to handle the pressure and deliver when it matters most. But here's what's really remarkable about this whole situation. Instead of being crushed by the disappointment or defensive about the criticism, Gout handled it with a maturity that's rare for someone his age. Right after his race, he walked around to every single competitor in his heat and shook their hands. Class act. When the cameras found him for interviews, his attitude was nothing short of inspiring. "Semi-finalists and got to compete against the big guys. Couldn't be prouder of myself for sure," he said with a smile that seemed completely genuine. "Obviously, I was aiming for that sub-20, but today wasn't the day. God didn't allow it today, but I know for sure in the future it's going to be coming." The kid gets it. He understands something that a lot of critics seem to miss. He's 17 years old. He won't even turn 18 until December 29th, while other teenagers are worried about prom and college applications. He's racing against the fastest men on the planet and holding his own. Speaking of perspective, let's talk about Usain Bolt for a minute. You know, the guy everyone keeps comparing Gout to? When Bolt made his world championship debut in Helsinki in 2005, he ran 20.68 seconds in the semifinals and finished fourth. That's significantly slower than Gout's 20.36. Bolt was also nearly 19 years old at the time, making him almost 2 years older than Gout is now. At the 2004 Olympics, Bolt's first major championship, he didn't even make it to the semifinals, yet somehow people expected Gout to waltz into Tokyo and immediately start breaking records. The expectations were completely unrealistic from the start. Even Noah Lyles, who just ran the fastest time in the world this year, sees something special in the young Australian. After his own semifinal, Lyles took time to praise Gout, saying,
"What do you make of him as a 17-year-old?
I mean, more talented than I was. There's been nothing but great talent coming up. He's an amazing kid. You got a great head on him. You got a great team around him.
But Lyles also dropped some truth about what Gout is facing as he transitions from high school phenom to professional athlete.
It's going to be interesting to see how he develops. The thing that I always look for when I'm looking at younger talent is, hey, are you just going to be able to train into shape, one? Because when you're in high school, you're able to just get races all the time, whenever you want. But as a pro, you got to race,
That's the real challenge facing Gout now. In high school, he could show up to meets and run fast times almost at will. The competition was limited, the pressure was manageable, and races were frequent. But at the professional level, especially at world championships, every detail matters. Every tenth of a second counts. There's no room for learning on the job. The physical demands are different too. Lyles mentioned seeing how Gout develops in the weight room over time, naturally, not all at once. Right now, Gout has the build of a teenager, tall and lean, but not yet filled out with the muscle mass that comes with years of professional training. That development takes time, and it can't be rushed without risking injury. What makes this situation even more challenging for Gout is that he's not the only young Australian who struggled in Tokyo. Tori Lewis, just 20 years old herself, also finished fourth in her 200-meter semifinal. Like Gout, she was one of the youngest in her field. And like him, she fell just short of making the final. The pattern is clear. Youth and talent alone aren't enough at this level. Experience matters. Knowing how to handle the pressure, how to peak at exactly the right moment, how to execute under the brightest lights. These are skills that take years to develop. But Gout seems to understand this better than most. When asked about his biggest takeaway from Tokyo, he said,
"Continue forward the path."
What's been the biggest eye-opener for you?
I think the biggest eye-opener is knowing that I can compete at the young age I am against the against the best men in the world. So that's been definitely the biggest eye-opener for me, and just knowing that I can actually go out there, run my heart out, and still place against them.
Then he said something that shows just how mature his thinking really is.
Them is I got time. They may not have 15 years, but I got 15 years for sure. So I know that I can keep running, and I know that if I can do this at 17, I can do this at 25 as well, and I'll be even better at 25. So
15 years. That's longer than some professional careers. While critics are writing him off after one semifinal, Gout is thinking about the long game. He's thinking about multiple Olympics, multiple world championships, and the kind of sustained excellence that actually defines legendary careers.
All side by side with 60 meters to go. They're still side by side with 50. Lyles trying to find something. He stretches away. It is.
Noah Lyles just did something that seemed impossible for over a decade. He matched Usain Bolt's legendary record of 4 straight World Championship 200-meter gold medals and then immediately promised to destroy it.
Of course.
Number 4, baby!
On Friday night in Tokyo, Lyles crossed the finish line in 19.52 seconds, holding up 4 fingers to a roaring crowd of nearly 59,000 people. The same stadium where he struggled just 4 years ago during the COVID Olympics had now become the place where he made history. But Lyles wasn't satisfied with just matching the great Jamaican's record. "I can't wait for 2027 to become the only man to win 5 200-meter titles," Lyles declared right after his victory. Those words sent shockwaves through the athletics world. The man who many consider the current king of sprinting had just declared war on Bolt's legacy. let's break down exactly what happened in this incredible race and why it matters so much for the future of sprinting. The race itself was a masterclass in tactical running from Lyles. Running from lane 6, he faced a stacked field that included 5 of the 8 finalists from last year's Olympics. His biggest threat came from his own teammate Kenny Bednarek in lane 8, a man who has finished second to Lyles more times than he probably cares to remember. From the start, it looked like it might be Bednarek's night. The American was leading at 50 meters, 40 meters, 30 meters, 20 meters, and even at 10 meters to go. Young Jamaican Brian Lavelle had actually taken the early lead off the curve, splitting the first 100 meters in 10.03 seconds. But anyone who's watched Lyles race knows that's exactly when he becomes most dangerous. "I studied my competitors," Lyles said after the race. "I knew their momentum was going to slow up once we got closer to 150 meters, but mine was going to build up after I hit that mark. Being patient was the most important thing. I controlled the race." That patience paid off in spectacular fashion. In the final 20 meters, Lyles unleashed his signature closing speed, sweeping past Bednarek to claim gold by 0.06 of a second. Bednarek took silver in 19.58, while 21-year-old Brian Lavelle grabbed bronze in a personal best 19.64, giving Jamaica their first men's 200-meter world championship medal since Bolt's dominance ended in 2015. For Lyles, this victory was about more than just winning another gold medal. It was about redemption. The same Tokyo Stadium where he now celebrated had been the site of one of the lowest points in his career during the 2021 Olympics. "I don't have good memories from Tokyo in 2021, Lyles admitted. "At that time, I was depressed, but this time, I am energized. I love what I do, and I am happy." The contrast couldn't be more dramatic. In 2021, Lyles competed in an empty stadium due to COVID restrictions, managing only a bronze medal while dealing with mental health struggles. Now, 4 years later, his face was plastered all over Tokyo, and he was feeding off the energy of a packed crowd. He said, "My face is blasted everywhere over Tokyo. This is amazing and such a joyous moment I am going to keep with me forever." But the road to this moment hadn't been easy. Lyles had struggled with injuries early in the season, dealing with groin inflammation that delayed the start of his outdoor campaign. He had to cram races into his schedule just to get sharp for Tokyo, and it showed during the 100 meters earlier in the week, where he could only manage bronze behind 2 Jamaican sprinters. That 100-meter disappointment seemed to light a fire under Lyles. In Thursday's 200-meter semifinals, he ran 19.51 seconds, the fastest semifinal time in World Championship history. It was a statement that said loud and clear, "The 200 meters belongs to me." The final was just 1/100th of a second slower at 19.52, making it the 11th time in his career that Lyles has broken the 19.60 barrier. For context, that's faster than most sprinters will ever run in their entire careers. What makes Lyles' achievement even more impressive is the company he now keeps. Only one other man in history has won 4 straight World Championship 200-meter titles, Usain Bolt, who did it from 2009 to 2015. Bolt is widely considered the greatest sprinter who ever lived, holding world records in both the 100 and 200 meters that seem almost untouchable. But Lyles isn't content with just matching Bolt's record. His immediate declaration about winning a 5th title in 2027 shows the confidence and ambition that has defined his career. At 28 years old, he's still in his prime, and the next World Championships in Beijing represents his chance to step out of Bolt's shadow once and for all. The rivalry with teammate Kenny Bednarek adds another layer to this story. Bednarek now has 4 consecutive global silver medals in the 200 meters, 2 from World Championships and 2 from Olympics. After the race, his frustration was clear. "I don't like being second," Bednarek said. "I've been second for what, 5 years, 6 years now? So I've got to clean some things up. I'll look back at the tape and see what I can do to be better." The relationship between these two Americans has been tense at times. At the U.S. trials, they nearly came to blows when Lyles stared down Bednarek after beating him, leading to Bednarek shoving his teammate. Yet they continue to push each other to faster times, creating one of the most compelling rivalries in modern sprinting. The broader implications of this race extend beyond just individual achievements. Jamaica's medal drought in the men's 200 meters finally ended thanks to Brian Lavelle's bronze medal performance. The 21-year-old ran a massive personal best of 19.64 seconds, signaling that a new generation of Jamaican sprinters might be ready to challenge for global honors. Meanwhile, Olympic champion Letsile Tebogo from Botswana could only manage 4th place in 19.65 seconds despite running a season-best time. Tebogo has been dealing with knee problems, and his struggles in Tokyo show that staying at the top of sprinting is never guaranteed. Lyles' dominance in the 200 meters has been remarkable for its consistency. Since winning his first world title in Doha in 2019, he has won every single World Championship 200-meter final he's entered. That's 4 straight golds across 6 years, with victories in Doha, Eugene, Budapest, and now Tokyo. Each victory has had its own character. Doha was his breakthrough moment, announcing himself as Bolt's successor. Eugene was a home victory in front of American fans. Budapest showed his ability to perform under pressure as the established favorite. And Tokyo was about redemption and setting up future history. The technical aspects of Lyles' running continue to improve with age. His ability to accelerate in the final 50 meters of the 200 is unmatched in the current era. While other sprinters fade or tighten up under pressure, Lyles seems to find another gear just when it matters most. I knew some of the guys were going to tighten up, but I just stayed relaxed and got the job done, he explained, describing the mental approach that has made him so successful. Looking ahead to 2027, Lyles will be 30 years old when he attempts to break Bolt's record. That's not old for a sprinter, especially one who has taken care of his body and continues to improve technically. The Beijing World Championships will represent his chance to make history and establish himself as the greatest 200-meter runner of his generation.
I mean, everyone does their own business, but apart from Lyles, he pretty much puts me under his wing, so he's a great guy, and he's the only one I pretty much need for sure. Obviously lucky.
Gout Gout just said that Noah Lyles puts him under his wing, and the 17-year-old Australian has everyone in athletics talking. At his first World Championships, this teenager didn't just survive, he made it look easy. The hype around Gout Gout has been building for months. This isn't just another promising teenager. We're talking about someone who holds the Australian 200-meter record at just 17 years old, running 20.02 seconds back in June. To put that in perspective, that's the second fastest time ever run by someone under 18. Ever. But here's the thing about hype. It can crush you when it matters most. And Wednesday night at Japan's National Stadium was the moment that mattered most. Gout's first major international race, the World Championships, the biggest stage in athletics outside of the Olympics. Walking into that stadium, Gout knew all eyes were on him. The comparisons to Usain Bolt have been constant, and for good reason. Same tall frame, same upright running style, same explosive finishing kick. But comparisons only get you so far when the gun goes off. Speaking about the pressure before his race, Gout kept it simple. He said,
Even though this is the biggest stage in the world, you just gotta go out there, treat it like a training session, and just go out there and have some fun.
Easy to say, harder to do when you're in lane 8 with 50,000 people watching your every move. The race itself told an interesting story. When the gun fired, Jamaica's Brian Level took off like a rocket. This guy means business. He's run 19.69 seconds this year and wasn't about to let some teenager steal his thunder. Level caught up to Gout on the inside and pulled ahead around the bend. For a moment, it looked like the pressure might be getting to the young Australian. He was stuck behind the field, and Zimbabwe's Makana Kaishe Charamba was making his move too. But then something clicked for Gout. The start's obviously not my strong suit, but as soon as I get into running, I'm chilling, Gout explained after the race. And that word, chilling, perfectly captures what happened next. Instead of panicking, instead of forcing it, Gout found his rhythm and started moving through the field. By the time they hit the home straight, it was clear that Gout belonged. He powered past several runners and secured third place with a time of 20.23 seconds. Not his personal best, but more than good enough to automatically qualify for the semifinals. Here's where it gets interesting, though. After crossing the line, Gout looked completely relaxed. While other athletes were bent over, gasping for air, he was standing tall, barely breathing hard. When asked about it, he was brutally honest about his strategy.